All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's been a while. Today is Sunday, January 18, and this is probably going to be the only breakdown call we do this week. So let's go ahead and begin. Starting with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is still underneath the weekly EMA, right? So we've been above it for quite a while. We were above for a long time. We broke underneath, and now we are underneath on the weekly time frame. Now, this here kind of looks like this right here, where price was above, then we broke underneath, we retested, and then we sold. So it may not happen instantly, and it may not happen the same way we want it to. But if we break back underneath the daily EMA, as we did right here in the same area, we broke below, we retested, we sold. Same thing here. If we break back below, then Bitcoin will probably drop. That's all I have to say for it. As long as it's above the daily EMA, well, ideally we would be above the weekly EMA, because as you can see here, we were below, we sold, we went above, we were above for a little bit, and then we broke back below. So ideally we would be above, break above, retest buy on a higher time frame scale. So that is what it is. SPX closed with a weekly doji candle. A lot of consolidation happening here. This kind of looks like a rejection candle on the weekly time frame. We've seen those before in the past where price was at its highest point and then we had a doji candle and then we sold. It doesn't always happen that way, but whenever it does, you can usually tell. Here we're looking like we're creating a head and shoulders pattern. Same thing here. We're creating higher highs. Here we're still bearish on the daily time frame. If you notice, we had a higher high. We shifted bearish. We never broke above this point. We never closed above this point. And then we kind of just created, looks like a double top, a head and shoulders. Same thing here. SPX, we created a higher high. To be safe, you could wait for potentially a break underneath this elbow right here, and then a retest to sell. In general, all of these should do the same thing. If you want to be extra careful, extra safe, you wait for the daily and the 4 hour time frames to both be underneath the EMA. So here the 4 hours above, daily's above, daily's above, 4 hour is below, and then here the 4 hour is above and the daily is above. So they differ, but they're all kind of the same. I think that we are probably going to see some selling happening going into next week. Oops. That's basically it for SPX, US 30, and NASDAQ. Just head and shoulders, honestly, just a break underneath this structure point right here. I keep doing that. Break underneath the structure point, retest to the downside, and sell. So here we've already broken underneath. We're retesting. So basically just another one like this. Break underneath the EMA to sell. And here, once again, break, retest, sell. All right, gold. Gold is at an all-time high. We did close with 2 days that we sold. Silver, same thing. Closed with a doji. Friday, we sold. Overall, I'm still very bullish. I think we're kind of in a situation like this where we are hugging the EMA. We're waiting for the EMA to catch up, and then price will just squeeze and take off to the upside. So there might be a little bit more selling. Kind of looks like we have a head and shoulders right there. We might retest to sell, or we might just sell into the EMA, create the weekly and daily wicks, and then push higher. So that's what I'm thinking for each of those. As long as we're above the 4 hour, you can see we usually maintain price action above pretty well. So at a certain point next week, probably early week, we might even open and just shoot up immediately. To be safe, if you want to be safe, you wait for price to close above the 1 hour EMA. As you can see, we've done this before where we kind of broke underneath. We were underneath for a while. And as soon as we broke above, we retested, we just took off. So that's what I would look for, is just a proper break, maybe retest of all of these structures to buy. If not, we might actually reject and sell. So break and retest to buy is where I would be putting my money. Same thing with silver. Nothing different here. Where we were below, we are below. When we're above, we're buying. So just looking for that break, retest to buy. The dollar index. Dollar has been recovering, kind of, very, very slowly. Still underneath the weekly EMA. We have consolidated for quite a while. Reminds me of whatever's happening right here, where price was underneath for a while. I mean, the price action was very, very similar. We were at a high, we sold above the EMA, we broke underneath, retested, sold, retested, sold, retested EMA, sold, and then we broke above to buy. So if we take this, we put it right here, almost the same exact thing. Where we were below, and now we're trying to break back above. Not sure what could cause this to happen. Obviously, there's a lot of economic stuff that has to happen. My dog will not leave me alone. But yeah, the dollar index, I think, is going to recover a little bit more this upcoming couple of months. See, monthly time frame. Yeah, it looks like we're also creating somewhat of a reversal pattern here on the monthly time frame. Double bottom, triple bottom. This is your neckline right here. And if price manages to break above retest, we'll probably see a good amount of buying. All right, moving into Forex. So GBP or Euro GBP. Euro GBP on a weekly time frame is bearish. So we are bearish on the weekly time frame. We broke below this structure point last week. We closed below it. So now we're bearish on the weekly. Finally bearish on the weekly. We expected price to retest and sell. That's exactly what happened. It happened very, very quickly. Pull back into the EMA, previous structure, area of interest, and sold. Now, at this point, I don't know. I think we're kind of creating a little bit of consolidation, maybe waiting for a pullback to happen. Looks like we have a double bottom forming. If we do break above, we might retest to buy. Confluences aren't exactly in our favor at the moment. Minus how to use the Fibonacci. I mean, the Fibonacci is pretty simple. You basically just drag it. You can do it in different ways. I usually use the body. So body of this candle to the body of this candle, swing low to swing high, or swing high to swing low. And then anything in between is basically fair game. I prefer anything above 50%. So that's 50% of the move was a retracement. And then after that, anything else can be a continuation. If we were to do it for this example right here, you can do it wicks, you can do bodies from point A to point B. Actually, it would probably be this one right here. So yeah, you have your body of this candle down to the body of this candle. Pullback happened into the 50% level and then sold. I mean, it's not necessary. It's just more of a visual thing to help you understand how far prices actually pulled back from the move. Like for example, here, we'll do one example of the opposite of the thing not working. So here you have your swing high to or swing low to swing high. Price never made it back into your 50% level and had the continuation without that happening. And it doesn't always reach the 50% level. You can do from here to here. Price reached the 88.6 level and then had a continuation. So it really is circumstantial and subjective. There is no like super right way, super wrong way to do it. You can do wicks to wicks. So wick to the bottom of the wick, then we haven't met the requirement 50%. Or if you go body to body, then you have. So that's why, I mean, there's different ways to use it. People use it in different ways. I don't use it that much at all. Anyways, all right, moving on. So we're bearish on the daily time frame. We're bearish on the weekly time frame. 4-hour time frame is also bearish at the moment. From here down to here. Well, actually, that counts as an elbow right there. So price did shift bullish. Price is bullish. Then it went bearish. It is currently bearish from right here down to right here. So we are bearish on the 4-hour time frame. I honestly don't love this that much. We do have time frames in sync, but we're also at a level where price has had pretty major moves in the opposite direction. We're also at the EMA. In general, I would probably expect a pullback into the area of interest into previous structure if we do end up selling. Other than that, I have nothing else to say. Not interested in that. GBP AUD. GBP AUD weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame has had quite a sell pullback. Never took that trade. So we had a sell pullback into the area of interest, and then a sell. Not sure what all this stuff is. All right. Pullback into the area right here. I don't love this one. I don't hate it. Similar to the other one, I think, in my opinion. How important is the monthly time frame? As important as any time frame. It gives you a perspective of what's happened and what hasn't happened that month. Obviously, you need the lower time frames more than you need the higher time frames. Chill, Penny. But you can use them. You can use them like a weekly time frame. It really depends on your own personal preference. The thing is that sometimes the weekly time frame makes no sense and the monthly does. Like here, for example, the weekly time frame is probably kind of choppy. You don't really understand what's actually happening. Here, we would have expected sells, but if you look at the monthly time frame, we're in the middle of a monthly pullback. This pullback is similar to this pullback, and this pullback could take multiple months, could take half a year. And then after that, what happens? Price just melts. So you just have to understand the way that price action works on every time frame. If it's a monthly pullback, you'll have really, really choppy moves on the weekly, but the daily moves make a little bit more sense. If it's a weekly pullback, then the daily time frame will look really, really choppy, but the 4 hour time frame might, make more sense. So, for example, here's a weekly pullback. Here, the daily time frame does not make any sense, but the 4 hour time frame doesn't really help much either. But maybe if you were looking at the 4 hour time frame or 4 hour EMA, you could maybe catch smaller moves in between. Regardless, as of right now, the CHF pairs did not do what I wanted them to do. We just had a bunch of consolidation over the holidays, and we haven't really had any solid moves since then. So CHF, let's put all the CHF pairs next to each other so we can compare them. CHF, all right, we'll move on for right now. This one, weekly time frame, daily time frame. I do like the sell here. I do like the pull back into the area of interest. You kind of have this somewhat of an area of interest right here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structure points. We pulled back into the area of interest. So we broke below, pulled back. As of right now, I would expect a continuation. This is probably going to be a good trade to take this week. It might happen really, really quickly. I would just watch the 30-minute EMA. If you could get a solid break and retest underneath the 30-minute EMA, just like a lower time frame EMA break and retest. Lower time frame EMA break and retest. So here we have weekly time frame is bullish, daily time frame is bearish. So we have a confirmation of bearish time frame, and 4 hour time frame is also bearish. So you have two time frames in sync to sell. That's really, really all you need in these types of trades. On a weekly time frame, this is what you look for. You just look for a wick to the upside and then a continuation to the downside. One of the profit targets I would look to take is this structure right here, which is probably in confluence with the daily structure right next to it. So this little area right here would be where your target would be for this trade. It would be somewhat of a, I don't know, you could take it like this, maybe a little bit of a tighter stop loss above the area of interest, a 1 to 2, 1 to 3 And if you get a really, really good entry, say on the 30-minute time frame, say you entered underneath, stop loss right above, target being this area called the first area. That's a 1 to 3.6 or a 1 to 4. So between a 1 to 2 and a 1 to 4 is what you could expect out of this trade if it plays out the way we want it to. NZD USD, fantastic. This is really, really nice. Weekly time frame is bullish. Well, no, weekly time frame is bearish. So we had a shift of structure. We went bullish. We had a pullback, a higher high, then a shift of structure back to bearish, a pullback into previous structure. So this is one that I would do the entire breakdown with you guys with. Let's go ahead and remove all of our confluences. So on the weekly time frame, we are bearish. On the daily time frame, we are bearish. So we have this lower low, pullback. So we're creating the lower high right now. Daily time frame is bearish, and 4-hour time frame is currently bullish, I believe. Let's see. Higher high, pullback. Yeah, this one's not as nice in terms of the 4-hour time frame, but you don't need it to be perfect. You kind of just need it to make sense. And here it does make sense. Looks very, very similar to what happened right here. We had this strong pullback above the EMA. We sold into the EMA. We had a reaction, and then we broke underneath and we kind of just sold. So here we're above, sold into the EMA. We're having a reaction. As soon as we break back underneath, stop loss can probably go above this high, and then you could sell for quite a while, in my opinion. I think that the weekly pullback is already over. I think that now we should just see price, at least at the very minimum, target this low right here. Yeah, that looks good to me. Do we have a round psychological level? Yeah, we do. It is 0.575. So you have your level, you have your area of interest, which is a daily area of interest, a very, very clean area of interest. On the weekly time frame, do we have a pattern? You have this like double top right here. That's 1, 2 tops right there. So you have a pattern. You're retesting this previous structure right here. You retested the EMA. You have a candlestick rejection. You rejected the area of interest. The daily time frame has a pattern. It is retesting previous structure. It is retesting the EMA. And you have your candlestick rejections. 4-hour time frame. I mean, it really doesn't get better than this. 4-hour time frame, you kind of have a pattern. It's not exactly a 4-hour pattern, so maybe not. Retesting previous structure, not exactly. I would consider previous structure being something like this. If we had a higher high, then we had a pullback, and then we were retesting this previous structure right here. This to me would be considered retesting previous structure. So not even that, but we are retesting the EMA, and we do have candlestick rejections. We're underneath the EMA on the 4-hour. If we break underneath and retest, we'll be underneath the 30-minute. Then we will have another one of these two here, maybe both of them. You have 115% trade. So all this trade really needs is a lower time frame break and retest, same as the other one. So we'll go to our notes, lower time frame break and retest of the EMA. Something like this. But yeah. All right. Yeah, so NZD looks like it's finding an area from which it will sell. AUD CAD. AUD CAD weekly time frame is bullish at a higher high. Daily time frame is at a higher high. 4-hour time frame is at a higher high. Not interested. JPY. JPY sold as expected underneath the EMA. Weekly time frame is at a high. Daily time frame is at a high. 4-hour time frame. Not sure what's happening. I would just stay away from this one until you have either a counter trend trade, which you can take. Right now, you could potentially take this. I wouldn't be too comfortable with it. I would look for maybe a break and retest underneath this area like this. Retest all of this stuff right here in order to sell. Right now, it's a little bit too soon to tell what's going to happen. We might just continue going higher. So JPY, not interested. This one could actually go down here with the other JPY pairs. All right. So here we have a triple top. Weekly time frame is bullish. Yeah, we're bullish. Daily time frame has shifted bearish. So daily time frame has a lower low and a new lower low under the EMA. Makes perfect sense. A retest of the head and shoulders. I guess you could consider two things a head and shoulder. This could be your head and shoulders right here. Shoulder, sell, retest, sell. Or this could be your other shoulder. So you have your shoulder, head, shoulder, retest of the neckline, and sell. So multiple opportunities on this one. Weekly time frame is bullish, but the daily time frame is bearish, and the 4-hour time frame is also bearish. As of right now, I'm not interested. GBP CAD, finally, after weeks of nonsense, price has finally decided. Excuse me. Price has finally decided to buy. We've been waiting on it for quite a while now. Weekly time frame is currently high, bearish, lower low. So it's currently bullish. So weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is bearish. So we had the higher high, shift the structure, pull back to retest the neckline. As of right now, the daily time frame is bearish, and the 4-hour time frame is also bearish. So you have two bearish time frames. Overall, I'm expecting buys just because of the way it is. We retested the bottom of this trend line. We retested the EMA. Daily time frame broke above the EMA, is retesting all these previous structures. In my opinion, we're just going to look for more buys. As soon as the 4-hour time frame breaks and retests above the EMA, most likely. As of right now, I don't know. I would probably wait for a deeper pullback and then a break and retest above the area of interest. So since we were creating like a head and shoulders, we're retesting this neckline right here. I would basically wait for price to sell and then break and retest back above, confirming that the sellers are done selling. Because if we took a buy right now like this, stop loss right here, chances of us just rejecting, selling, hitting our stop loss, and then reversing are very high. So probably waiting for another daily confirmation that price is going to head to the upside. Okay. Is this a good trade? Theoretically, yes. But I just haven't had great luck with this pair. Ideally, excuse me. Ideally, we would be, let's see, 4-hour time frame, above, above, above. Retest, underneath, underneath, above, break above, retest, and continue higher. Okay, yeah, so, oops. Kind of makes sense. I'm going to stay away from it for now. Okay, here we go. Weekly time frame. is bullish. We have a double bottom, we've pulled back, retested double bottom, and we have a bullish engulfing weekly candle. Now, I'm not a rocket scientist, but a bullish engulfing weekly candle after a retest of a double bottom usually means a bullish continuation. Not only did we reject with a bullish engulfing weekly candle, we also had a double bottom created on the daily time frame. We retested the double bottom, we pushed off, we retested the EMA and the double bottom neckline in order to have a continuation to the upside. We're also trading above the EMA very, very nicely on the 4-hour time frame. This is one that I would look to take buys on. Definitely. So all we're looking for here is a weekly wick to the downside and then a continuation candle to the upside. So something like this. Okay. And all we would need is a lower time frame, basically a 30-minute break and retest, like a lower time frame. Yeah, lower time frame break and retest of EMA to buy. All right. Moving on. It's always as soon as I get into a Zoom call that I become the most needed person in the world. Everyone's texting me. And then whenever I'm not on a call, it's like I don't exist. Okay. Let's try to zoom through some of these now that we have a good foundation for what we're looking at. Weekly time frame is bearish underneath the area of interest. Looks like we're kind of creating a head and shoulders right here. Would be nice to see a sell, break, retest to sell. And what a coincidence. In order to break and retest, we have to break and retest the 4-hour EMA. It's not a coincidence, by the way. That's just the way price action works. Break, retest to sell. It's where we made good money in December, I believe. Yeah, that could take a few days though. So we will come back to it potentially. Weekly time frame is bullish. We're at a high. We've created a double top. We've broken underneath the neckline of the double top. 4-hour time frame has broken underneath the EMA. Chances of us selling, retesting, and selling are higher than not. Now, this would be a counter trend trade. We have the daily time frame, which is bullish. So we're bullish from right here all the way up to here. Now, this could be considered a elbow, and if it is considered an elbow in your book, then this is actually bearish. So price action is bearish on the daily, bearish on the 4-hour, right? Wrong. 4-hour time frame is still bullish from right here all the way up to here. But you can't really go wrong when price shifts underneath the EMA on the 4-hour time frame, and you're given a reversal pattern on the higher time frame. So I guess you can trade that to your own discretion. If I was trading it, I would probably take sells after a proper break and retest. Weekly time frame on Euro NZD is a head and shoulders. We closed with a very bearish week. We have another mini head and shoulders within the right shoulder of the weekly time frame head and shoulders. So daily head and shoulders, weekly head and shoulders. And believe it or not, there is a little pattern on the 4-hour time frame as well. So you have a double top here on the daily time frame. We broke below the double top. We might retest to continue to sell. If you really want to be safe, then you take the trade underneath the weekly neckline. Or you could be a little bit riskier, take the trade. I mean, I really do like this here. Take the trade like this, retest to sell. This would give us both a weekly wick right? So we need the weekly wick, and we would get the retest of the structures, the retest of the EMA, just everything you want to see in order to get a good trade to the downside. Now, the thing about this pair is it tends to come back to the same area multiple times. Like here, for example, you might get wicked out a few times before entering a good trade to the downside. You're creating multiple retests of the EMA, double tops, double bottoms, whatever it is. On the 4-hour time frame, price does move a little bit choppy. You might be in profit, and then you're back in drawdown, and then you're next to your stop loss, and then you're back in profit. That's the way it is. Is this one I would trade? This is one that I would trade. Weekly time frame is still bullish. The daily time frame is bearish. So you have your shift the structure, lower low, freshly bearish. 4-hour time frame is also bearish. So you have two time frames in sync to sell. Pull back into structure and EMA to sell. Okay. And this is on the daily and 4-hour time frame. Moving on. Not sure where we were. EuroCAD. EuroCAD probably going to be similar to Euro NZD. So we're looking for sells here. Weekly time frame, daily time frame. Oops. So daily time frame pulled back right here perfectly. So we actually took a loss right here. And then we had hit take profit. This one looks very, very nice. Very, very nice. Oh my. Broke retest of the previous structure, retest of the neckline. I don't know. I don't see why we wouldn't be interested in this. Take profit would be right here at that structure point, at both of these structure points. And then there's always the possibility that price breaks underneath, retests, and then continues to sell. So that could be a very, very nice long-term trade, which I think it will be. I think it will be. I think we might just open, create a wick to the top side, and then close to the downside like this and sell for potentially another 1 or 2 weeks. So I like it. Let's watch that one. Euro AUD. Too good. Too good. It follows our structures so well. We were above, broke below, retested, sold. Didn't make it quite all the way back to our area of interest, but it continued to sell underneath the EMA. Honestly, I think we're too far gone. Not interested. AUD, USD. AUD, USD still waiting. Nothing much has happened here, kind of creating a head and shoulders pattern on the 4-hour time frame. But there's too many questions to ask, and I'm not really interested in asking those questions. I think we might get a continuation to the upside, but things look better for sells, so I'm just going to stay away. GBP AUD or GBP NZD going to be similar to GBP AUD. I think we skipped over it as well. No, we didn't. We have it right here for sells. So GBP NZD, weekly bearish engulfing, daily time frame, created a double triple top, maybe a head and shoulders. Underneath the EMA here as well. Just doesn't look as good as GBP AUD, so we're just going to stay away. USD CAD, USD CAD. So the dollar is getting stronger, or the CAD is getting weaker, and I'll tell you exactly why. Because the US no longer needs Canada for oil as much as they did before. Oil and other, I guess, energy, now that we have Venezuela, it doesn't really matter. So dollar is getting stronger, I think, because of those reasons in general. And that's also why the Canadian dollar would suffer. So overall, I don't see why we don't just continue going higher. We have a very, very strong area of interest right here. So you have this whole area is considered basically one giant area of interest, even on the monthly time frame. So we could maybe make it a little bit tighter on the monthly time frame. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 structure points on the monthly. Now the month is only halfway over, so we could see another dip down into the area of interest before then seeing a continuation to the upside. One thing to consider is that we did close literally in the same place as we opened. So price went down and then came back up and closed. In my opinion, we're probably just going to continue shooting upwards. But but it is what it is. I don't really see any way to enter this. We're kind of in the middle of nowhere. Yeah. Pull back. Like we're kind of in this situation right here where we broke out of our area of interest. We had this pullback candle, and then we're probably just going to shoot up and continue to go higher. So if you want to just enter it for buys, you could. I'm not interested. GBP USD, GBP USD. Daily time frame is bearish. Weekly time frame is selling, and 4-hour time frame is under the EMA. Created a head and shoulders, broke, retested the neckline, and selling. GBP USD seems to be good for buys, or sorry, for sells. Weekly time frame is bullish, but the daily and the 4-hour are bearish. Okay, on to the last few here. GBP USD, I don't hate it. I just don't love the structure. Pull back. Maybe if we created like a double top and then broke underneath and retested, because we're kind of have already rejected our area here. I would probably just like to see a retest of this area of interest right here if possible. If we could just pull back up here one more time and then sell, that would be fantastic. So that's what I would be looking for. For GBP USD, it would be a 4-hour pullback to sell. Four-hour pullback to sell. Okay. And the JPY pairs. So JPY pairs in general are, I think I've found a top temporary or not. Looks like we are selling for the time being. Weekly time frame, rejecting. Yeah, this is a rejection candle if I've ever seen one on GJ. Look at that. Weekly time frame, daily time frame is about to shift bearish. 4-hour time frame is already shifted under the EMA. Yeah, I would just say I'm not going to put any of these on my watch list, but JPY is definitely going to take a dip. Weekly rejection candle, weekly time frame is bullish. Daily time frame is about to shift bearish. If it does, we'll probably see something like this, break, retest this stuff right here, and continuation to sell, and then 4-hour time frame. Guess what? That retest we just talked about would just be a pullback into the EMA to sell. So your best bet would be a retest of the EMA to sell. That's it. Literally across all of them. Retest of the EMA to sell. EMA to sell, pullback to sell, pullback to sell, and then here would be a break and retest to sell. So moving on. moving on. One of the trades I was considering, I would have considered taking. CHF. So CHF looked like it was getting ready to sell very, very nicely, and then all of a sudden it didn't. Didn't sell at all. As of right now, the best CHF pair looks to be Euro CHF. Now, all of these do have somewhat, or most of them have a rejection candle on the weekly time frame. CAD CHF for buys. So let's say CAD CHF for buys or Euro CHF for sells. How about that? Reason being, weekly time frame is bullish. All right, let's delete all of this. Weekly is bullish. Daily time frame is currently, well, it's actually bullish as well. Not ideal. And 4-hour time frame is also bullish. So, okay, never mind. We need a little bit more confirmation. Now, a little bit more confirmation would basically look like a break underneath this area. 4-hour time frame goes bearish, daily time frame goes bearish, and then we have two time frames in sync to sell, right? Something like this. Retest of the previous structure, retest of the EMA, retest of the area of interest, and then a continuation to the downside. Yeah, so we're going to be daily break and or daily shift the structure. Okay, so that concludes our list for this week. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pairs. The bottom one is Euro CHF with a daily shift the structure, then a pullback to sell. So we shift, we pull back, and then we sell. This would probably take a week, maybe a few days, but probably a week or two. GBP USD, 4-hour pullback to sell. Euro CAD. I think this one only needs a lower time frame break and retest to sell. Break and retest under the neckline of the an area of interest to sell. That was on December 21. So break and retest of lower time frame EMAs. Okay. Euro NZD 4-hour pullback to, so this is 4-hour pullback, 4-hour pullback. This is a lower time frame break and retest, which would be on the, call it 30-minute, 1-hour time frames. Okay, and then NZD USD. This is a lower time frame break and retest for sells. I like that one a lot. This is a lower time frame break and retest to sell. And a lower time frame break and retest to sell. All right, quick recap. All of these are lower time frame break and retest to sell. Then you have a lower time frame break and retest to buy. Then you have a 4-hour pullback to buy. 4-hour or 4-hour pullback to sell. 4-hour pullback to sell on GBP USD, and then a daily break and retest on Euro CHF. And that concludes today's market breakdown. Tomorrow is a bank holiday, I believe, in the United States. So probably avoid trading US pairs. And then the rest of the week should be good. Let's check out the calendar. January 18 to 24. Monday, you have some CAD news, quite a bit of CAD news. So USD CAD will probably move. And then Tuesday, you have GBP, some USD. President Trump speaks. That'll probably be big. World Economic Forum annual meetings. That's going to be pretty huge. I think they started today. Yeah, they started today, I think. So all of these annual meetings will be I don't know. They talk about a bunch of stuff that impacts the whole world. Then you have JPY news, some Euro news midweek or end of the week, and then obviously you have your. I think it's the first Friday. It's not the first Friday of the month, so you don't have anything too crazy there. Um, yeah, so there's no what's it called? It's the first Friday of the month. NFP, right? Forgot what it was called. I haven't traded for so long. NFP's on going to be in 2 weeks, so you guys are good on that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is everything for today. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you guys in the next call.